Welcome to the vlog. Back in the kitchen again. We'll be doing some kitchen experiments. As you know, we've been switching to a kind of healthy lifestyle. We don't really eat much wheat anymore. If we do, it's got to be sprouted grain bread or sourdough bread, like real sourdough bread made with real spontaneous fermentation, not using fast action yeast. So I kind of got interested in that. We do like cooking and baking. So my wife got me this awesome book for Christmas. Do Sourdough Slow Bread for Busy Lives. It's got a really easy way to make a sourdough starter. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. Got my ingredients ready. We've got some organic rye flour, a glass jar, and some filtered water. It's quite important to make sure the water doesn't have chlorine or chloramine in, as same with brewing beer. Those can inhibit the growth and the reproduction of the yeast cells, which will obviously stop the fermentation from happening. So I'm kind of excited. I'm gonna try not to eat too much sourdough bread as it's still wheat, but I really want to try and make some, and as a family together, you know, we can enjoy some sourdough bread from time to time. Yeah, gonna start making the starter. So here we are, we're all set up. We've got the jar and the scales, as it recommends in the book that you use weight, not measurement. It's more accurate. So the recipes here, what we're gonna need for day one for rye sourdough starter is 25 grams of wholemeal rye flour and 50 grams of water. So a total of 75 grams we're starting out in the first day. There we go. That's 25 grams. Doesn't seem like much flour. Quite a small amount. And then 50 grams of water, so we've got to take this up from 25 to 75. Oh, a little bit over. 80 grams, but I guess that's not too bad. Let's have a look, what do we have to do next? We actually have an advantage here in Malaysia, as the recommended temperature for this is, if you can see that, 25 to 30 C. So that's actually our regular room temperature here. Touch warmer for rye, which is great. It's not easy to achieve, obviously, if you live in a cold country, but it's great here. That's about the temperature. Yeah, so that's all. We got to mix that up. And for the mixing part, it says you've got to mix with your hands after washing them with non-sanitizer, like no hand wash or anything, because that might inhibit the yeast. Just get them in there and get it all amalgamated. For a rye starter, it should be quite sloppy, like a wet porridge mix. You don't want it to be too thick. So yeah, get it all. Make sure there's no dough balls, we would call them in brewing. No lumps of flour, dry flour stuck together. Should be a nice runny, smooth paste. Yeah, try and leave it all in the jar. That's it. I grabbed my starter out of the cupboard. It's looking pretty fresh. It's got like some foggy mist on the jar, which means it's probably been an exothermic reaction. It's generated some heat. Kind of looks like it's been bubbling in there, which is a good sign. It means it's alive. Sourdough's coming alive. What we're going to do today is add some more water and some more flour. Beef it up a bit. After 4 days it'll be ready. And then we can make some sourdough bread. My wife's here and she's drunk, so she's trying to tell me, like, open my eyes. She's really useful like that. So we're back on the scales. I'm gonna open it up, hopefully it doesn't explode. Ooh, there's quite a lot of pressure there. And it's got a slightly funky smell, which I guess is a good thing. We're gonna turn on the scales, tear it to 0. We need to add another 25 grams of wholemeal rye flour and another 50 grams of water. So we'll take it up to 25 grams with the flour. Sorry. There we go, that's 25. And we'll take that up to 75 with the water. Alright, bang on the dot. Hands are clean, without any soap. We've got to get them in there and mix it up. Make sure there's no dough balls. bits of dry flour. Scrape the stuff off the sides back into the liquid. As I mentioned on day one, we got to make sure it's quite, for rye flour, quite a runny consistency, like a wet porridge. And that's it really. Once it's mixed up, we'll try and leave everything in there. Close the jar back and leave it for another day. We'll be back again tomorrow with another feeding. Thanks. Here we are, day 3 of the sourdough diaries. Just got the sourdough out of the cupboard. I'm gonna check it out. It's looking quite funky. It's got some like fogging on the jar, which indicates it's probably kind of pressurized. Let's open it up and see. Oh, quite an explosion. Explosion of slightly funky smell. This is what it looks like inside. It's looking quite nice. So let's check out the day 3 instructions and see what we've got to add in. So day 3 calls for an additional 25 grams of rye flour and 50 grams of water, same as the previous 2 days. Let's grab the rye flour and we will get 25 grams into the jar. There we go, 25 grams. And then we'll take that up to 75 with 50 grams of water, as with the previous days. There we go, 75 grams. Wash my hands without soap, get them in there to mix it up. Lovely. Make sure you get any lumps out, any flour that's stuck to the bottom of the jar. Try and get that back into the mixture. Any off the sides. Yeah, get a nice smooth, runny porridge texture. That's what you want each day building the starter. Press out any lumps. That's it, feels nice and smooth. We shall leave that until tomorrow. Here we are, day 4, sourdough starter making. It's kind of separated into a funky looking liquid layer with some flour underneath. But we've still got stuff to add, so let's check out the book. Day 4, we've got to add 50 grams of flour and 50 grams of water. So that's going to thicken it up a little bit. Let's go, see if it pops. Not too bad, I've released the pressure earlier. Still smells like a kind of fruity vinegar paint stripper. Kind of pleasant if you're into the funk. Alright, let's get 50 grams in there. 40, 45, 50. There we go. 50 grams, and then we'll take that up to 100 with the water. Okay. 80, 90, 95, little splash more. 100, there we go. As always, wash the old hands with water, no soap, and we get in there. Ooh, let's get in there and give it a mix. Funky. Funky homemade sourdough. Quite exciting, really. Definitely seems to be developing. See the odd bubble, definitely builds up some pressure in there. And the smell is an obvious smell of fermentation. So I think we're doing a good job here. That's it, I think it's fairly well mixed. Let me get it off the sides a little bit. And that's it, we've got a decent sized starter. Tomorrow, I guess, it should be ready to make some bread. I haven't read that far in the book yet, so see you tomorrow.